Hidden inside every giant animal on Earth is a remarkable story of survival. Tonight, an extraordinary event's about to take place. A team of leading experts are going to carefully dissect this giraffe to uncover some of the secrets of its evolutionary success. This is natural history as you've never seen it before, from the inside out.
Whoa!
Richard Dawkins will guide us through one of nature's most bizarre creations.
Engineers have the freedom to go back to the drawing board. Evolution doesn't have that freedom.
Biologist Simon Watt will find out how his body measures up against the giraffe's extreme anatomy. And I'll travel to Africa to see these majestic animals in the wild. When they're moving, it almost seems like they're running in slow motion. And we'll try to unravel the mystery of the giraffe's very, very long neck. Welcome to the Royal Veterinary College, where we're about to go under the skin of the world's tallest animal. In front of me is a young male Rothschild's giraffe, and despite being almost 10 feet tall, it's only about 2.5 years old, which for a giraffe is adolescent. Sadly, it died recently at a British wildlife park, and tonight, as well as trying to find out the cause of its unexpected fatal paralysis, we'll also be celebrating a life that's evolved over millions of years by uncovering some of its truly unique anatomy and physiology. Here in the post-mortem room, our dissection will be led by giraffe expert Graham Mitchell and anatomist Joy Reidenberg. Graham, specialised is the word that absolutely comes to mind when you talk about giraffes.
Yeah, the first thing is to step back and say it is truly a remarkable creature. And when people look at it, what do you see? And everyone sees an extraordinary shape, a relatively narrow and short body, narrow this way, short that way, enormously long legs, and an enormously long neck. And you have to say to yourself, why did a creature evolve and end up in this way? What were the advantages of having a shape like this? And that's what strikes you, I think, when you first see it. But in terms of how it gets through its day, how it survives, how it works, it is the neck that is the main part that we need to understand. And I think that we should perhaps start by taking off the skin and having a look and see what's underneath there.
OK, well, the team's ready. Shall we crack on?
Just behind the ears there, I think, Richard, and yeah, and then go down the bottom there. And Joy, if you can go along underneath there.
The giraffe is surely one of the most graceful animals to inhabit the African bush. Yet it's lived through the violent reality of natural selection, where only the fittest survive. A single blow from its leg can shatter a lion's skull. To stay alive in this dangerous environment, giraffes have evolved some unusual features, and the first one we'll explore is its neck. Richard, can I just let you have that just to put it aside for us? So, in terms of the anatomy that we expose straight away in the neck, I mean, obviously, huge amounts of muscle.
Yeah, but I think if we start at the top of this neck and look at this bit of tissue which runs from way down here, as you can see it all the way up here, gets a little bit thinner up at the top. This is definitely perhaps the most important ligament in the giraffe. You can see that it's yellow. It's got a very nice yellow look to it. That means it is almost completely elastic tissue. Its idea is to elevate the neck. And you'll see the natural position for a giraffe is about 55 degrees to the vertical.
Right.
And that is a perfect balance between the tension in that ligament and the weight of the head, which is forcing down, and all of the rest of the neck. So when the giraffe is holding its head like that, absolutely no effort whatsoever to do so. But when it wants to drink, then it contracts all of these muscles and has to bend that ligament. Now that is impressive. If we try to bend that head, now grab it, Mark, and see if you can pull it towards Joy and see how much you managed to get it. Keep pulling.
No, I'm not coming your way.
Yeah,
I've got it.
Got to go a little further if you're going to get it on. Whoops.
Well, you're going to have to.
And then let it go.
You can't move
Then
that.
let it go and see where it goes.
Whoa!
Exactly. And that's exactly
That's amazing.
what happens. And when it stops drinking, that is 2 seconds for the head to swing through a 4-meter arc, and it's all dependent on the tension in that ligament.
Surprisingly, it's not holding its head high, but bending down that requires muscle. The elastic ligament effortlessly returns the neck to its default position. But how did the giraffe come to have such a long neck in the first place?
The story about how the giraffe got its neck is a sort of classic evolutionary chestnut, because whenever one's introduced, the story had been the giraffe stretched its neck like that to try to get to the tops of the trees, and that simply lengthened the neck, and then the children inherited. That, of course, doesn't happen. Acquired characteristics are not inherited. It's done by Darwinian means, which is that there's variation, genetic variation, and those individuals who survive best are the ones who passed on the genes.
Biologists are still arguing about why the giraffe's neck grew so long. I've come to South Africa to explore the different theories.
Most of us think that giraffes have long necks so they can reach leaves at the top of trees.
This may seem like an obvious idea, but giraffes use their neck in more ways than you might think.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So is this the kind of reach of your average giraffe?
Yeah, it's lovely. What I'm doing here is I'm measuring the amount of forage that's available for a giraffe bite.
Remarkably, the old idea that the neck evolved for feeding was only scientifically tested recently by ecologist Alyssa Cameron. Her research shows that giraffes do enjoy more leaves per mouthful by eating above the heads of competing animals. But giraffes don't just feed up high. They also use their neck to reach low bushes and deep inside trees.
By being able to reach food that competing animals can't, the giraffe has a significant advantage. And this might be one of the reasons why it evolved such a long neck in the first place.
Later, we'll be exploring other reasons why a long neck might have unexpected benefits in the wild.
We've seen how giraffes use their necks to reach food. Now we want to investigate how they eat and digest it. As a boy growing up in South Africa, Graham Mitchell was often mesmerised by the unlikely contortions a giraffe's tongue could perform in its never-ending search for the perfect acacia leaf.
This is the organ that goes out there and collects the food. When you look at the tongue, firstly, it is exceptionally long, and in this one, I would guess it's probably all of 15 inches from front to back, but it's not that so much as it how long and thin and delicate it is. What this animal feeds on is leaves. That is what it has to get hold of. It is not a grass eater. It's highly selective. It just doesn't take any old bush with big leaves or small leaves. It takes the acacia predominantly. The acacias have got long thorns on them. So it's got to have a structure which allows it to get access to food that is guarded